So I think it's probably worth selling some stuff to the Alliance Requisition Officer here, just to make sure we don't hit our inventory cap.
Looking for supplies?
More like we're looking to sell them, but yeah.
Let's see what you've got.
You bet, Commander.
Okay, and let's just double check what they have here, because there is some Spectre stuffs. It's level 7, which, when it's first appeared, was certainly eye-catching, because that's, at the time, was far and away the highest level gear that we could get from anywhere. Now, though, we are starting to see some level 7 stuff, and at least on one occasion we actually picked up level 8 gear. So, although this is the highest rarity manufacturer, the level of the gear is, at least somewhat soon, going to start to get outpaced. Ooh. Now that Titan armor is very good. I wish we could compare it to what Rex has currently equipped. It's only level 5. I mean, if this was a higher level, then I would definitely take it. So I know we got the Titan armor for ourselves, I think, and for Ashley as well, but I don't recall as to whether we could get it for Rex or not, and that was, I believe, on Novaria when we did make those purchases for us and for Ashley, and it was around level 5-ish that we picked up the gear for that. So even if we do have it, it may be at or near the same level, in which case it's not making a huge difference, so perhaps not. And then all this Ane Kadar stuff is all bad. So let's focus on selling instead. Yeah, because like as we see here, here's a level 8 Krogan armor. But let's instead start at the bottom where we're looking at our weakest stuff. Oh man, yeah, as you can see, the list of gear that we have is growing quite long, very long, and so that is reason for us to want to just dump a few things here so that we don't find ourselves hitting our cap, which I think is either 150 or 160 items. And if you do that, then you're going to need to omni-gel the items that you do pick up, and that can put you in a tricky situation if you have a great item that you want to keep. So for that reason, we want to sell some stuff here. I mean, our weakest stuff, we actually would prefer to just omni-gel because it's worth next to nothing. You know, 15, 9 credits, those are all amounts that don't really mean much to us. Toxin resistance, we have plenty of that now, coming from new and improved gear. And shield regenerators, I think we don't need that. I mean, this is also level 2. I think generally we can probably just dump altogether. High caliber barrel, just because it's one of our few non-stabilizing based weapon upgrades we're probably going to keep. We could really use some more alternatives there. Yeah, let's start looking at level 3. I'm reluctant to sell amps and Omni tools, although we did pick up a lot of, I think, this exact type of amp in the most recent couple of missions we just did, so this might be safe to sell. Shock absorbers, I mean, even level 3, you can make the case this is still Omnigel territory. So let's go up to 4. Yeah, now you see this is just a level 4 version of the same thing that we were just selling. Fusion explosive, I think, for the most part, when it comes to the explosives, I'm looking just for the high impact. I forget, is that what it's called? The one that increases the AoE of the explosion of our grenades, because those are hard to hit the target with. They are kind of janky the way they work, because you just throw them like straight ahead like a frisbee, and then you need to time when they explode. You don't just like hit the target and then it explodes on impact. So that makes it kind of tough to make it work, and so by making the explosion a larger radius, that gives you a little bit more margin for error, so that's why I like that. And Devlon, remember, is the type of armor that allows us to resist environmental hazards, so we'd like to try to keep some of that around. But, I think we probably have better gear than this for Garrus. Definitely low-level weapons, we can outdo that. Shield modulator, I think we have better pure shields upgrades than just this. I'm not sure we have enough to fully load our shields, but probably enough that, you know, if we want to at least put some shields on them, we should be fine. Proton rounds, leave at least one of them just in case. Same with polonium rounds. I mean, ideally what you do is you double check exactly how many you have and say, oh yeah, we have enough of higher level versions of this that we just don't need the low level versions at all. Stabilizer we're definitely keeping, because again, we're just lacking the weapon upgrades for anything other than stability. And kinetic buffer, I think we also have higher levels of that. Exoskeleton, I think so as well. And for the most part, things that are level 4, I think we should have better versions of. Now we have at least some other versions of ablative coating, but we did put that on some other people. We may not have any more of that. Let's see, this is definitely sellable. That may be Ashley's gear, or what we previously had on Ashley. Again, gonna be a little bit more reluctant to part ways with our amps, because that I think is... We want to make sure that we don't accidentally sell what is potentially one of the rarest types of upgrades to get. And yeah, high explosive is the type of grenade that I'm most likely to look to use here, and 2 of the same type is useless, because we only have 1 grenade, and we're the only ones who can do it. Or well, at least, yeah, we're the only ones who can do it. So, for that reason, doesn't really make sense to double down. Although, is there such a thing as a time when you can throw 2 grenade upgrades, kind of like higher level weapons? Well, you don't have an actual grenade item. There's no weapon for the grenades that can increase in upgrade slots once you reach a certain threshold. So I don't know. I don't remember. I was going to say, in that case, maybe, you know, we could double down on high explosive, but I don't think so. Don't think so. And then we got lots of low-level pistols. Let's dump all these guys. Probably that Turian armor as well. I mean, level 5, basically any level 5 weapon, medium armor from the Devlon for the environmental hazard resistance we'll keep just in case. But we will not keep that. And yeah, anything level 5 that is just a weapon, probably even armor that is not for environmental hazard resistance, should probably go. Okay, so this is one of the things that we deliberately loaded up on. Did not sell any tungsten rounds or shredder rounds, because that was something that I was saying how it's very helpful to be able to throw that on, because as long as you know what type of enemy you're going up against, it is universally helpful. You just swap back and forth between tungsten and shredder rounds whenever you switch between organic or synthetic enemies. We do have a few of them equipped right now, and we definitely have at least some higher level versions of this, but at least in the base game, before Legendary Edition came out, I was saying this a little bit before, but it used to be that once you reached a certain level of gear, the type of upgrade switched. So old upgrade types just became completely unavailable, because, for example, what I think maybe around like level 7 or so, it would change to a different type, and that would mean that, say, tungsten rounds or shredder rounds would be completely unavailable at that stage. You just never see them again. So that would mean you have a limited window of time which you can acquire them, and then once you get to a certain level character, then only a certain level of gear starts to drop. You never see the lower level of gear drop, and therefore you never have access to additional tungsten or organic rounds, shredder rounds, unless it maybe you can find someone to purchase them from as a shopkeeper. But it seems like that perhaps may have changed in Legendary Edition, because I would have thought that at this stage we would already be past the point where we'd be getting shredder or tungsten rounds. I did not recall there ever being a round of shredder or tungsten rounds that got to this sort of strange 33% increased damage. I want to say it previously capped at 30 with level 4. So maybe that's not so much a factor anymore. Here are the higher level shield modulators that we were expecting. Proton rounds, I think, are probably unusual enough. We may not need to have too many of those. I think we did have a lower version of them, in fact. Proton. Yeah. Dump you. Okay. As it lowers damage but bypasses shields, which is kind of niche. Polonium is a little bit helpful because it prevents enemy life regeneration, which, especially against Krogan, is very useful. So, in some situations, that could very well be something we choose to go back to. Medical interface is definitely one of our preferred upgrades as well, for that combination of life regeneration and toxin resistance. We do have higher level versions of this, and in many cases we've already equipped that, But we do have some people who do not currently have medical interface on, so might not be a bad idea to have some of that as a backup plan. Kinetic buffer, I was talking about a little bit before, is nice as in that it gives some cooldown reduction, making it a little bit more of an offensive armor upgrade, which is kind of unusual. So I do like it. I think we may have some higher level versions, so I think we just sold one of them and we'll leave it at that. Incendiary rounds are, in theory, another nice offensive option. Pure damage on the weapon slot. And exoskeleton, I think it's unlikely we're going to use this very much. The smash damage physics threshold, generally best for Rex, because smash damage, melee damage, is something that he does better than just about anyone else. Physics threshold could potentially be relevant if we know we're going up against, say, something like a team of Asari Commandos. They're going to prior a bunch of biotic status, which is the one situation we've used this previously. But I guess we'll keep a couple of them just in case for that purpose. Similar sort with Energized Weave and Hardening, but we may not need, between Exoskeleton and Energized Weave, we may not need that many of them. Cryo rounds, I don't think we need that many. We can definitely dump some of those. Ablative Coating, yeah, we did look at some of these previously and say, lower level versions, maybe we want some of them just in case. I mean, but we figured we might have higher level versions. It's a nice thing to throw on because obviously damage protection is just universally helpful. So if you're at the point where you can get a second armor upgrade, then slapping on an ablative coating is certainly not a bad idea. Then fusion explosives, let's dump you. Again, just generally not a huge fan. Then, yeah, what I really want is just to dump a bunch of low-level weapons, because that is a no-brainer, obvious thing to dump. Want to see what Garrus has currently equipped before we start selling Turian armors, though. This is a Krogan Devlon armor. I thought we might have had one of those already, but we might just Omnigel our lower-level version if we do find that we have one of those. Let's see. For snipers, I think we're fine selling all these. Starting to get to level 6, so it's not as low anymore. We do still have tungsten rounds, even at rank 6. That would suggest that, yeah, we should be able to sell some tungsten rounds because we have a bazillion of them. Let's do that. Okay. Should still have plenty, even if we want to load up completely on that. Next we have, what, 4 level 6s? 4 shield modulators. 4 proton rounds. Again, this is one that I just don't think is going to be all that common for us to use. Polonium rounds, again, in some situations is useful. We might be able to dump our lower level versions, though. Polonium, at least... Oh, yeah, we 3 of them? Let's do that. Then... Okay, yeah, here's tungsten, shield modulators, proton, polonium, kinetic buffer. As we start getting this high up, definitely more reluctant to start selling things. Yeah, we're definitely seeing we have some higher level versions of things like exoskeleton, like I said, kinetic buffer. So we should be able to dump these in that case. Keep one just in case. Energized Weave. I think it's another one similar to Exoskeleton that we want to have at least one of. And Amp's going to hold on to those just in case. Not a huge fan of the explosive upgrades. We'll dump you. Then, as we start getting to level 7, things get a little tougher to dump. I think for the most part, we've already put good pistols on people who need them. We might be fine there. Especially because we have some ones from the higher level manufacturers, the higher rarity manufacturers like Brawler and Razor from Armax and Casa, so let's hold on to those just in case. And then, okay. I think medium human armor is kind of this weird in-between place where no one is currently using it. Let's dump that. And then, oh, this was... That's 2 of... Oh, no, it's not 2 of the same thing. Ooh, that's a good Turian Devlon armor for environmental hazard resistance. Yeah. We're definitely getting some duplicates there. So, you know, we have some higher level versions of it. But as I said, I think we'll just Omni-tool it because it's a little bit easier to see when it's all organized in the same category on our actual equipment page rather than this sell screen where it's just kind of a weird mixture of stuffs. Assault rifles, sniper rifles. I think we can dump these. Don't think they're particularly helpful, or at the very least, we don't need this many of them. And in the cases where we do need them, we already have some nice upgrades there. Shotguns. These I think we all have better versions of. Then at least dump one of these. The Casa, because again, Casa is a good manufacturer. This should be able to go. Or tungsten rounds, even higher level. Okay. Definitely going to keep those. Same with Shredder. Proton, yeah. So as we're seeing, definitely some higher level stuffs. Once we start getting here. And good manufacturers, we'll keep those. At this rate, we're only looking to sell, I think, things from weapons or armor from bad manufacturers. Level 8 Brogan chestplate, although I think we just had Rex. So we should have been able to compare this, and I think we opted not to equip it, so I'm pretty sure this is still safe to dump. And it should be worth quite a bit. Alright, so there we go. We should be quite a bit lighter now that we've offloaded that much stuff. And I know it took a while, but that just goes to show you how many things we did pick up there. And should give us much more of a buffer for next missions that we do, and not have to be nearly as concerned about potentially hitting that inventory cap. So, that all being said, we could check our person-specific gear here. Potentially relevant after doing all that stuff, but I think we should be fine for now. Let's head back up, and now let's head over to do that mission where we can take out those crime lords. Now that we're lighter and faster, capable of taking out those crime lords more easily, should be in good shape.
Transmission coming in, Commander. I think you're going to want to hear this one.
Oh?
Greetings, Commander Shepard. I represent a party interested in obtaining information on Cerberus activities.
Excuse me? Cerberus, of course, being the organization that we just spent 3 missions trying to stop. Yeah, so that's a little suspicious. Who are you?
Who are you, and who do you represent?
Who I am is inconsequential. Suffice to say, I am an agent for the Shadow Broker.
Oh.
You see, Admiral Kahoku...
Now that's a name we heard
employer
once
looking
before.
for information on the location of any Cerberus facilities.
Ah, that's how we got the information
We
to begin with.
provided that information on the promise that he would turn over copies of all files gathered from the Cerberus systems to us.
We did, of course. In the final facility, managed to download some files. It said that we had plenty of time to decrypt them eventually, though we did just do this mission recently, so I'm not sure if we have done that yet. Let's see. Yeah, do you know anything about Kahoku's death? I mean, I would have thought if anything you'd be trying to reach out to him, and of course he's not going to be picking up.
Did you have anything to do with Admiral Kahoku ending up dead?
We had no reason to harm him. He was going to provide us with information about Cerberus. Information that is now in your possession.
I mean, that makes sense that they would not want to harm him if he's going to feed them information, yes. If, say, he had gotten that information and then started to try to get all clever and say, no, I'm not going to give it to you, then that might have made some sense that at that point they tried to take him out. But, how do they know that we have it? I mean, I suppose Shadow Broker, as a reminder, is basically an information broker that we learned about when we were talking to Barla Vaughn in the Citadel, which was one of the, technically, second or third Bolus people that we spoke to, basically the banker. But the Shadow Broker, again, deals in information, buying and selling it to the highest bidder, and somehow has remained behind the scenes, and no one really knows who they are, but is quite influential, and this person is working for the Shadow Broker. So what about the facility location? I mean, you're saying you already knew about it, and you sent that stuff to Kahoku, and he, of course, in turn sent it to us.
You must have some connection to Cerberus. How else could you tell Kahoku where to find them?
Information is our business, Commander. Through our contacts, we were able to determine that the Cerberus group was active in the Voyager cluster. Unfortunately, that was all we were able to find out. That is why we are so interested in acquiring copies of the files from you.
Okay, so this person was working for some extremely secretive information broker that I mean, we've heard, I believe, when we first learned about the Shadow Broker, that they're technically neutral. That they, like I said, buy and sell to the lowest bidder, and somehow that means that they've found a way to not get directly involved and take sides in any major conflicts. But that being said, I mean, they are still basically, you know, I don't know, mafia boss is the right way of phrasing it, but, you know, they're a criminal. They're a criminal mastermind of sorts. Maybe that's a better way of phrasing it. They're a criminal mastermind. So, you know, giving information to a criminal mastermind doesn't really sound like a great idea. So, I mean, yeah, I'd say thanks, but no thanks. Then again, of course, that does also mean it's not really someone you particularly want to be making enemies with, but alright, we're feeling bold.
These are classified Alliance files. I'm not handing them over to you.
Be reasonable, Commander. Cerberus was operating outside Alliance jurisdiction. You don't owe them any loyalty. The Alliance is just going to file this information away in some archive. But no secret stays hidden forever. Eventually, someone somewhere will deliver it into our hands. Might as well be you. Transmit the files to us and you will be well compensated.
That's an interesting direction for them to take. The whole, it's inevitable. I am inevitable. Come on, you might as well get paid in the process. Why do you want the files, though? Out of curiosity, why are you so keen on learning more about Cerberus?
What are you going to do with this information?
Information is a commodity. It can be bought, sold, or traded. Why my employer desires this information is not my concern. I am only the buyer.
Yeah, well, you know, can't exactly say that I trust you.
My loyalty is to the Alliance, not the Shadow Broker.
That is unfortunate, Commander. My employer will remember this the next time you need something from us.
Alright, well, there we go. We have, we've tried to, well, you know, stand our ground there and said no to the Shadow Broker. As for whether that's going to come back to haunt us, that remains to be seen. But let's zoom back out here, and do I remember the system we're looking for? I think it's, what was it? What was it? Not Exodus, was it Gemini Sigma? Definitely not Armstrong. Let me double check. Oh, we got a ton of Paragon points for that, 8. Let's, you know, got a little distracted by the whole getting contacted by an agent of the Shadow Broker thing. So we're looking for, hostile takeover. Fortuna system. Okay. On and dis in the Fortuna system. Okay. Fortuna, I don't remember offhand where that is. To be brutally honest with you. Where is that? Excuse me? Excuse me? Huh? Is that not the name I'm actually looking for? Hold on. Hold on. Is it the wrong level of specificity? My guess is it is. So it is... Where was it? On and dis systems, after eliminating them... Oh, no, okay. Hold on. Gemini Sigma. That's the name I'm looking for. Gemini Sigma. Then on and dis. There we go. Okay. So Ming is not on that list, so I don't know if we've been here, if we have any reason to go here just yet. It is technically a place that we could visit. Han is one of them. And then any sign of... Oh, no, Dis is in... Wait, no, Dis should be here. Huh. Is it Ming? Let's start with Han then, in that case. Okay, so of course, we'll look around a little bit here, see what there is for us. Let's take a peek. Paraven. Paraven is a small, unremarkable rock world. Sorry, Paraven. Game says it, not me. Surface is scorching hot and mainly composed of calcium with deposits of aluminum. Paraven's low mass has left it tightly locked to the star Han. If there were any resources of value, mining stations could be established on the relatively temperate Twilight Band, which I believe is basically the edge of where... So, when it's tightly locked, that means that one side of the planet is always facing the star, and the other side is never facing the star. So that means the part that's facing it, always extremely hot, part that's not facing it, always extremely cold. The Twilight Band, though, being sort of the area right on the perimeter of the always light and always dark area, so it's almost like this ring around the circle or band, or around the planet. So this very narrow area where it is perhaps habitable. Okay, but we can survey it. Let's see. Matriarch's writings recovered. Scans of Paraven revealed an unmanned station in geosynchronous orbit. The salvage team found no evidence of the origins of the station. They did find one of Matriarch Delinaga's writings on board. Sounds good. Okay, then we have this fancy-looking ringed planet, Huntington. Huntington is a Jovian-sized gas giant with a standard hydrogen-helium atmosphere. Traces of methane give the planet its distinct cobalt blue tint. Spectral analysis indicates its extensive ring system is mostly composed of ice crystals. Huntington has an exceptionally powerful magnetic field, which creates strong radio interference throughout the inner system. That sounds obnoxious. Alright, then we have Mavigon, and this is a planet where we could land. Ooh, level 2 cold hazard, so we were talking not long ago about how we wanted to make sure that we still had some of the armor that allows us to resist some of the hazards, and that could be quite relevant here. So Mavigon is a small rock and ice planet with a thin atmosphere of ammonia and methane. The surface is frozen and mainly composed of tin with deposits of potassium. The planet has a rudimentary ammonia-based life, mainly concentrated around geothermal vents deep underground. That's cool. Severe storm cycles are common. Due to limited visibility, navigation may be difficult. So it is very cold, minus 125 degrees Celsius, as it said. Level 2 cold hazard, understandably. But nonetheless, still, at least near geothermal heated areas, it is still possible to, well, support life. Simple life, at least. So this will, of course, be the place where we eventually end up landing, but let's first just explore what else there is to see in this system. Then we'll end there. Then we have Farkrothu? A standard gas hydrogen helium gas giant, Farkrothu is only distinguished by its moons. Several dozen of them have been sculpted into the likeness of an arthropodal alien race not yet known to Council science. What? Radiometric dating suggests the moons were worked over 500,000 years ago, so some ancient race created or carved out these figures into the moons, and the figures that they carved out are not recognizable, or at least not sure what they're technically supposed to be. That is interesting. Okay. Alright. Now that we can scan here, though, so let's carry on. Now we've got Patatonless. Patatonless is a large rock world with an unusually thin atmosphere of hydrogen and carbon monoxide. Ooh, monoxide, mind you. The frigid world's crust contains extensive deposits of uranium and occasional loads of naturally occurring plutonium. The total mass more than 4 times that of Earth. Patatonless should have a significantly thicker atmosphere. This unusual feature has flagged it as worthy of scientific investigation. The need for expensive amounts of radiation shielding has deterred interest. It is, yes, indeed, quite cold. Perhaps more importantly, has some access to some rare metals. Let's see. Well, we get a light metal. Detected a large deposit of beryllium. Okay. But either way, we are looking to land here on Mavigon, and we will definitely want to make sure that we have some of our hazard-resistant gear equipped so that does not become as big of a factor. So let's do it. Let's play it. Okay, so, I mean, technically, I suppose we should be trying to pick... Well, actually, we only need one person to have any of the armor on that gives us the hazard resistance. I was going to say we might want to deliberately pick people that we know have it. I was going to say that maybe excludes Tally, because she might be the only one who doesn't. She may. I just don't recall whether she does. We definitely have it for Garrus. Definitely have it for Rex. We definitely have it for humans. That covers Liara. So, then again, like I said, we actually only need one person to do it, so it shouldn't matter too much. I think for the most part, we should just be thinking of who do we want to have here. And we're expecting to encounter a group of... or a crime lord, presumably accompanied by a group of bandits along with him. So I would think in that case, probably primarily human enemies. So in that case, that probably does rule out Tally, well, with her being primarily a specialist against synthetic enemies. So in that case, what would we... I mean, Rex is in many ways our go-to. Been a little while since we last had Garrus, though. So maybe we add him. And maybe we try someone other than Rex. I think in that case, Liara has been the longest since we last used her, because we used Caden, Ashley, and Rex all recently. So yeah, let's go this route. It is, especially with Liara, definitely pretty biotic-centric, and the only person providing the combat strength is Garrus, so that's a little bit concerning, but we can hopefully still make this work. Alright, so yes, we do have that cold hazard. Let's take a look at our squad here, because Liara has 3 points to spend. Whoa! Really? It's that long since we last used Garrus? He has 12 points? That's insane. Okay, let's take a look then. Let's maybe start with the simple stuff. Let's start with Liara, with only 3 points for her. I think we might have been trying to go Warp. Because with 3 points, we can almost get up to Master Warp, which would basically max out almost all of her biotics. As we've said with other allies, we definitely don't want to touch stasis with her, because that's not going to have the additional abilities that our stasis has, where we can still damage people. So I'm thinking it's either Warp, or the alternative would be a Sorry Scientist, but of all the passive abilities that our various party members, and including Shepard, have, not a huge fan of a Sorry Scientist. Ooh, hold on. Given that a lot of it is based on first aid, and that's just not really something that I think we want to be focusing too much on optimizing. At least would probably prioritize other things above and beyond that. So I think for Liara, yes, let's throw additional points in Warp, and we hope we can get one more to get Master Warp going. Then for Garrus, we have 12 points to spend here. So if we go all the way through Tactical Armor, we can give you a Master Shield boost. Something to be said for that, although you're not the tankiest of people. I mean, you are, yes, to a certain extent, filling the combat role, especially in this situation where we opted to not use Rex, so you are sort of our designated tank in that case, even if that's not necessarily what you're best at doing. But otherwise, we're trying to give you more tech abilities, which we sort of avoided doing for a little while, because to a certain extent, at least, we were saying, well, I mean, there are people who can specialize in that, who do it better, including ourselves. We're more so relying on Garrus for the combat abilities. So, let's see. Assault training is also, it's improved adrenaline burst, as well as some weapon damage. Not a huge fan. And Turian Agent is accuracy and damage, so yeah, like this, for example, I think is probably better than what we were just seeing with Liara's passive ability. So, let's see, with 1, 2, 3, 4, we could get Master Sabotage. We don't have Damping at all yet. Enemies can't use biotic tech abilities. We actually don't have this ourselves, I don't think. We do not. Does Liara? She does not. Tally does, I think. So we actually have a bit of a shortage when it comes to damping, and for that reason, that might not be a bad idea to throw that on Rex. In fact, I would not even rule out maxing this out. It also stuns enemies. So it does give him some crowd control, which is one thing that he definitely lacks. So you know what? I'd say, let's go for it. The primary thing, of course, being that Temper disables biotics and tech abilities. So it's kind of like the Sabotage, just for, rather than weapons, other special abilities instead. So it depends what type of enemies you're going up against, but I think that is definitely a nice complement to, like we were saying, what is, at the moment, primarily, or was, exclusively, more or less, just combat-based abilities. Okay, so I like that. Let's take a look at equipment, though, because like I was saying, we want to probably have at least one person who's using the special hazard resistance stuffs. So I think we should... Oh, we actually do not have that. Any light armor for humans to do that, so I think that means by default it's going to have to be Garrus here. Let's take a look. Actually, he currently has some equipped. The Explorer. We have a better version of it, though. Survivor. Let's see. Better damage protection. A lot better damage protection. Decent shields upgrade. A little bit worse than the tech biotic protection standpoint. I think we probably still go for that, though. Alright, so it's arguably his best. It is probably his best armor right now, to tell you the truth. So, you know what? Not really making. It's not like we're making a sacrifice to put that on him. Let's see. Medical interface. And then now that it's level 7, it does mean we can get a second one in here. I was mentioning before how I do like, especially when it comes to just the second weapon, or second armor upgrade, I do like throwing on a Blade of Coating, because just getting a pretty sizable chunk of damage reduction is certainly never a bad thing, and so if you sort of focus on the specific niche you want to get in the first one, then that's good, fits the specific character you want, and then why not just make them harder to take out with that second one with a Blade of Coating? I mean, you can think of it as it's almost a 50% increase to the damage protection that he has from the base armor. So we were talking about how, well, he's going to need to take some hits perhaps with this current group, and good to see that perhaps we have just what we need for that. Can we improve the R's armor at all? Because it's, I suppose it's okay. Okay. Alright, so let's take a look at our map here. And our Syndicate hideout is in the southeastern corner. So that does work well for our usual circle around the map strategy. I'm thinking maybe we go more or less straight south, and then go the rare clockwise rotation. I know, mind blown, right? We always go counterclockwise. But yeah, let's go maybe straight south from here, and we'll hit this debris, and then we'll continue going around clockwise, and then we'll more or less finish on the hideout. I think that'll be the plan. Let's mark something there. And we shall see. Oh, well, that's not terribly inviting. Oh, well, there's some minerals over here, in fact. So maybe we'll make a slight detour to make a point of picking those up. And we'll see just how significant this hazard is. Because remember, a level 1 hazard you can completely mitigate by using some of the resistance armors. Oh, there's actually 2 things right here. Hold on. Oh, we don't know what this question mark is. Just checking the pressure maw vibe meter. That does give a little bit of pressure maw vibes. But yeah, this one looks a little too small. But I wouldn't necessarily rule it out. But remember that level 2 hazards, you can only reduce the amount of damage that you take from them, or at least reduce the speed at which your meter fills. You can't outright mitigate them just by wearing the resistance armor. That is not technically level. Okay. This looks like gold. It is gold. But this is still not level enough? Or where do we land? Hold on. Huzzah. Yeah, so you'll see the meter in that bottom right corner was starting to fill there. Let's nab some gold, though. Absolutely. Right, now we get in. Meter goes back down. So that's all fine and dandy. Let's also, just now that we're on this new planet, let's save. And let's see what this question mark is all about, because we have no idea. We did see on a previous area... Oh, what's this? Whatever that is. Mummified Solarian. Okay, it doesn't really look like a mummified Solarian from here. It looks more like a crate of some variety. I was going to say, in a previous area, we saw a question mark that did not appear on our primary map. It only showed up on our mini-map in the bottom right corner. That, you're telling me that is a mummified Solarian? I don't believe you. Yeah, we saw something that wasn't marked on our primary map. That was actually a Freshermaw nest, a hidden Freshermaw nest. We discovered several small artifacts. Among them is an identification tag belonging to Captain Stranaka, one of the Solarian soldiers charged with hunting down the League of One. Alright. Nice.